What's up, battle bros and battle babes? Baddies? Battle baddies. We're going to be going with that one. And you know what? If you're a battle bro and you want to be a battle baddie, you can be one too. And that's going to be my universal name for all of you going forward. Cringe all you want, you can't stop me. Alright, so today we're taking a look at Battlefield 6 assault rifles, and the main topic is accuracy, but I will do a damage per second breakdown as well since it's all going to be on screen anyways. We're going to knock out like 11 squirrels with one shillelagh, or whatever the saying is. If you want to skip the explanation for what you'll see on screen and just get to the first weapon, jump to this time code on the screen. But if you're interested in what other metrics will be posted, keep watching until then. In the fairness of transparency, there will be no bias towards any weapons. I'm going to show you the recoil patterns and provide the actual damage per second of the weapon based on damage and rate of fire. Do keep in mind that when looking at the actual DPS, we do have a damage drop-off in Battlefield 6. Now, it's not a perfect rule because each weapon is slightly different, and how you build it can change this as well. But you can expect maximum damage at 0 to 15 meters, a reduction to 75% damage from 15 to 30 meters, and a reduction of 60% beyond 30 meters. There will be no attachments outside of their most basic things like iron sights, basic ammunition, and the short or basic barrel, whichever one they start with. I will not be performing any recoil control, but I will be throwing some arrows up on screen to show you which direction that you need to pull in order to compensate. And now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. First, we have the M433. It has 25 damage, 30 rounds per magazine, and a rate of fire of 830. All of that maths out to be 345.83 damage per second. Now let's take a look at the mag dump. In case you weren't keeping track, the M433 just shot 30 rounds in 2.11 seconds. That comes out to about 853 rounds per minute, which means that the DPS is really 355.5, not 345.83. Now, I'm only going to explain this once, so listen up, dorks. For the recoil box, I set each screenshot to the exact same pixel height from floor to window. I put a box around the area and scaled all of the screenshots to the original screen size. Then I boxed in the recoil pattern and pulled the X and Y to give you the dimensions. This is going to tell you the cluster density so that you can really easily see which weapon takes the least effort to control. For the M433, the box is 170 by 223. It might not look bad at first, but this is actually one of the worst assault rifle patterns that we've got. It's not the worst, but it's not in the top 3. Second is the B36 A4. With its 25 damage, 720 rate of fire, and 30 round magazine, it sits at 300 DPS. Let's check it out. We just fired 30 rounds in 2.41 seconds. This means that the rate of fire is actually 746 and the DPS is actually 311, not 720 and 300 that it claims on paper. Checking out the recoil pattern, we've got a box that's 108 by 206. This puts the B36A4 in first place for now. Third, we have the SOR-556. It has 25 damage, a rate of fire of 568, the second lowest of all assault rifles, and a 30 round magazine. It claims to have 237 DPS. Here we go. That took 3.13 seconds to fire 30 rounds. That's less than 1% off of the chart. The recoil pattern is only 92 by 128, which is extremely tight. Fourth is the AK-4D with 33 damage, 514 rate of fire, the slowest of all assault rifles, and a 20 round magazine. It should be around 283 DPS. Let's see if the slower rate of fire helps out with the recoil. .3 seconds to dump 20 rounds. That is almost perfectly accurate. The recoil box is 112 by 184, making this another really tight grouping. Fifth is the TR7. With 33 damage and a 720 rate of fire, it should be 396 DPS. Let's check it out. .66 seconds to clear a 20 round magazine is almost spot on to a 720 rate of fire. This recoil box is an absolute nightmare. I shot twice because I wasn't sure if I did something to mess up the first time, but it was just abysmal. With an X and Y of 223 and 306 in its recoil box, the TR7 has some really awful handling. Sixth is the KORD 6P67 with 20 damage, the lowest of all assault rifles, paired with a 900 rate of fire for a DPS of 300 and a 30 round magazine. This could actually be worth checking out. Let's see. Two seconds on the dot to send 30 rounds. That is exactly 900 rate of fire. The recoil grouping is pretty solid at 126 by 194. Very manageable. 7th is the NVO-228E. This one has 33 damage with a rate of fire of 654 for a DPS of 360. With a 30 round magazine, let's see how it does. .75 seconds to dump 30 rounds gives the NVO a rate of fire of exactly 654. The recoil pattern is also pretty good. At 107 by 205, it's easily controlled with simply pulling down slowly. Last but not least is the L85 A3. 25 damage with a 635 rate of fire for a DPS of 265 is not great, but let's give it a shot. That took 3 whole seconds. Let's try again. I wanted to move spots because the first time I was sitting slightly above the target, so I wasn't sure if the angle would impact the recoil much, and it didn't. But the rate of fire for 3 seconds to dump 30 rounds is actually 600. That means that the DPS is really around 250, a bit lower than what they say on paper. The recoil box for the L85 A3 is only 107 by 189. It has really good grouping for the latter 2/3 of the magazine. Now let's put up the rankings on the board. First, we'll do recoil grouping because that's what we're all here for. Remember, we used no assistance and no attachments. The lower the score, the better. Third place is the AK-4D with a score of 206. Second place is the L85 A3 with a score of 202. And first place is the SOR-556 with the tightest grouping by far with a score of only 118. But now let's take a look at the flip side. For the fastest technical time to kill, which is heavily reliant on DPS, the rankings are as follows. In third place, we have the M433 with a DPS of 346. In second place is the NVO-228E with 360 DPS. In first place is the TR7 with 396 DPS. But here's the question. Do you think that the highest DPS guns will outkill the lowest recoil guns? My bet is that they won't. And why? Because accuracy is more important than anything if you're beyond 15 meters. What do you guys think?